Hey, happy Saturday, friends and subs. We got a request to do a review of Netflix Castlevania series. Some of you might have seen my Castlevania reaction video, the trailer reaction that I did. I'm a huge Castlevania fanatic. You can read some stuff in the... not read some stuff, but you can see some stuff in the About Me video on my channel. It talks about... I made a Castlevania short film about 13 years ago that made quite a bit of a splash. It was a lot of fun with my friends, and I guess the point is I'm a huge Castlevania person. And so I finally got some time today to see episode 1, which is called The Witch's Bottle, I think. And I was really, really impressed with it. I guess I'll start at the beginning. It starts off, this is obviously a spoiler review, so I should say that again, spoilers. It starts off and Dracula is sort of secluded at his castle. The animation's really pretty stunning. And he meets, I don't know why I didn't see it coming until a little ways in, but he meets Alucard's mother, Lisa. And Lisa is a absolute, just kind of matter-of-fact decent person. And she goes to the castle because she wants to learn about medicine and science, and she wants to be free from the shackles of the hypocritical church. And I should say one other thing myself. That's not to bash people that go to church. I'm a person of faith, but the people that are depicted in the Castlevania series are a complete insult to the nature of true goodness, and are not driven by anything other than their own self-righteousness, hypocrisy, and lack of empathy. And so, having said that, she wants to learn about science and she wants to be a medicinal healer. And so what's great about the opening scene is it's very, very tense because you're waiting for Dracula at any second to basically kill her and switching hands here, and drink her blood or something. I mean, I was kind of on pins and needles. And she's so charming and she's so likable, and she disarms Dracula so much that they have a believable relationship that blossoms right there. And that's obviously, Lisa becomes Dracula's wife and the mother to his son, Alucard, who's fucking awesome. For anyone who knows Symphony of the Night and any of the games since, Alucard is a fan favorite, and he's one of, if not my favorite characters in Castlevania. So that being said, there's quite a shocking moment I did not see coming early on, where she is being burned at the stake by these horrid mockeries of people of faith, and they basically just burn her to death because she is utilizing science methods that they don't understand, so they feel it must be supernatural or profane. And so it's a really horrible scene, and these people are just awful, awful, awful people to watch do this thing to Lisa. And so Dracula comes back, and surprisingly, he restrains himself, and he says, probably in honor of Lisa, because she's the type of person that wouldn't want bloodshed. He says, I'll give you a year to basically get your affairs in order and get the fuck out of Wallachia. And so they're basically like, they think it's an illusion, it's a vision of evil that's false, when Dracula appears in this firestorm to warn them, and they basically blow him off. So what happens is, switching hands again, my arm's getting tired. So he comes back a year later with his minions of the dark, and he basically lays waste to the whole town, and it's really violent, and it's really brutal and intense and scary. And from there, sort of Dracula's fate is the villain we know in Castlevania is sealed. He's kind of abandoned his humanity due to his pain of loss of Lisa, which was the only thing that connected him to the human world. There's a moment where he confronts Alucard, and there's some bloodshed. There's the suggestion that he kills Alucard, but obviously that's not the case because he needs to stay around. And then it kind of moves forward to where the hordes of Dracula are descending across all the lands of Wallachia, and they're in a tavern. We're in a tavern, and we see one of the Belmonts sitting in the corner, which is really, really cool. And these sort of scumbag bar patrons are discussing their resentment towards the great houses of the land, the aristocracy or the wealthy landowners. And it's a nice little moment when they're like, those fucking Belmonts. It's pretty cool. So that kind of wraps up there where, he looks like he's obviously trying to avoid being recognized or avoid conflict, because when they mention the name Belmont, he covers his face up and he's like, oh shit. It's a nice little moment, and I think it ends there. So let's cover it from Before I give my review, let's cover it from like, the Castlevania fan side and the technical side. The animation is really, really beautiful. It's stunning at times, actually. One of the problems with Japanese anime for me is the visuals are of really high quality, but sometimes the frame rate is lower, and they do that because they can't, for the amount of quality of the image, they can't have 60 frames or 30 frames because it would cost a fortune. So they lower the frame rate, the amount of drawings per second that they're going to have in there to actually create a really high quality image, but you get some jittery, sort of stiff movement with the animation. I was a little bit worried about that, but that wasn't the case in here. They seem to really make the most of their budget. There's some spectacular fire effects and supernatural effects of Dracula that are legitimately chilling and really are a drawback to the game, and Dracula's different sort of infernal powers. Some of the stuff that you see in Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Dracula X, there are things that are suggestive of that, which are really nice. And he looks very similar to Michiru Yamani's design for some of the games, the posters that she did, I think for Symphony of the Night and the game that had Richter in it. I can't remember. It has a really beautiful poster of him in this pose with his whip. And I can't remember which one. I think it's a remake of Dracula X. But at any rate, so yeah, his design is very faithful to Castlevania. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's moody. As far as the story, it's very, very well written. The dialogue's really strong. The script is strong. It's intelligent. Dracula's given believable motivations. He doesn't jump into a relationship with Lisa in a way that betrays what we know about Dracula. It actually adds dimension to him. And like I said, there's a tension there where you don't quite know what Dracula's going to do, which is true to the character. The voice work's really good. Graham McTavish, who plays, I forget what his name is. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fanatic too, which is embarrassing. I'm having a brain fart. He plays Dwalin, I think, in the Hobbit films. He's the big motherfucker with the bald head and the beard. And he had a really standout role in Rambo. He played a really surly British mercenary. And that's when I first saw him. He's amazing. He also does some really great voice work in Dante's Inferno, the animated adaptation tie-in to the video game that came out some years back, and did a really, really, really good job on that. So he's fantastic as Dracula. He brings a real sinister quality. Matt Frewer is great in it. So overall, I would say this. As a Castlevania fan, I'm really, really impressed. It's got a very strong story. It's well-directed, great dialogue, really good performances, great voice acting, stunning animation, and it's about as good of an adaptation of Castlevania, which is, after all, as great as it is a video game. So as great of an adaptation as you could ask for. I think they did a phenomenal job, and I'm just on episode 1. So I'm going to be watching the rest of the episodes, and I'm going to be doing reviews for those. So I would rate The Witchbottle a solid A, and I can't wait to see the rest. So thanks for watching and subbing, and I hope you guys have a great Saturday. Bye.